Hi, I'm Joe Franco. Welcome to People in Perspective. Today my guest is Joe Franco, a failed filmmaker and employee at Apple. How you doing, Joe?
Nice to meet you, Joe.
I want to get into it. Why did you start in film? What was so interesting about it to you?
So I just grew up loving movies, and I figured that's where I wanted to go. I was interested in special effects as a kid, so that's where all of my interest went, but I realized I can't do it because I'm a terrible artist. So I figured that the next best step was just filmmaking. So I took classes at Kent State University. I was the last filmmaker in the program, which was really just a woman with a camera and a bunch of dudes sitting around doing a bunch of like abstract films. And that's also where I started delving into film that wasn't just like Lucas and Spielberg and all that stuff. And after that, I just, delved into it. But after a few years and coming to Chicago, I just sort of let it go to the wayside and raised a family.
So you said you've always been interested in film
Yeah.
ever since you were little.
From the get-go.
Yeah. What was your first experience with film or horror movies, or what movie inspired you that you wanted to be a filmmaker?
Obviously because I was born in the 70s at Star Wars. And I remember seeing it at the theater, but I think it was a re-release back in like 79 or 80 because it had been like 4 or 5. But after that, it was like some horror movies, and my mom let me watch stuff on Big Chuck and Little John, which was basically Vin Gulli if it was Abbott and Costello out of Cleveland. And so I just grew up in like edited horror movies. Tourist Trap is one of the things that stuck with me. Just like the horror of being scared. And Nightmare on Elm Street is the movie that scared the crap out of me when I was 12.
All right,
so that's when it started.
So you named a few horror movies. Who's your biggest inspiration or role model as a horror film director?
Well, when I was a kid, I would say, because I was able to sneak the movies in, it would have been John Carpenter, Sam Raimi, Cronenberg, and to a less horror extent, David Lynch. And that's my building blocks of where I wanted my filmmaking to go. So.
And you said you wanted to start in visual effects, but you just said you just weren't cut out for it.
Yeah, it just wasn't my thing. I couldn't build anything. I couldn't draw anything. So I was fine with it. I was able to do some special effects when I did the movie. But
yeah, speaking of your movies, which was your favorite movies that you made?
Well, obviously Delivery Guy, which is just a short I made with Josh Yeager. And then I had a student film that I shot that I'm really proud of, because I shot a film that turned out not being so good. And I took it through an optical printer, which is when you just reshoot every frame by frame, and turn it into something just like dreamlike and beautiful. And I was proud of it. And I had the soundtrack done by my friend Derek Erdman, who's an artist here in Chicago now. And this is also back in the mid-90s. But I was proud of it. It was really good. My parents saw it. They had no idea what to think about it.
Right,
but nobody else has seen it because it's only on a reel in my house.
I want to talk about the Delivery Guy. Okay. What was the hardest scene for you to make?
Well, the hardest scene would be the attack scene in the kitchen with. Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Okay, with Molly and Greg.
Yeah.
We made the severed head. We built the head. We built the leg. We built the hand. But we tried to shoot it all in 2 days, and we shot it in order. And when Greg was doing that, we tried to block the shot so he could just like look like he was hitting her, and you smacked her in the head. And you can see it in the film where she just looks absolutely just happened to me. And that was the hardest, because we had to talk her to come back in, and then we had to cut off her head. Not really.
Yeah, but
But that was like the hardest thing to shoot because of the effects, and then stuffing the thing full of ground meat and Hershey sauce and.
This is a warning for viewers. The following might be a little explicit.
Well, not really. But.
Roll the clip. We're supposed to shut.
Okay.
I want to talk about some of your other movies, Alone and A Smile Will Overcome the Barrier of Language. The description in those videos, the vicar, is that supposed to be the same character in both movies?
Possibly. It was my friend Eric, Morty. And so Lone was just something that we decided to do because Yeager worked in no, he didn't. Morty worked in a building right off of Wacker Drive. So we went after work one day and just took the camera and just shot something in like an hour. It was just something really stupid. And then the other one was it was like the 8-hour film festival the Chicago Underground Film Festival did back in, I want to say, 2000, where we showed up at noon. They gave you a fortune cookie and you had to shoot a movie edited and completed by 8 o'clock at night to be screened at the old Biograph Theater. And, it's terrible.
Do you remember what was in the fortune cookie? Or?
Something about the barrier of language.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
And that's what the movie is. So that's what it was dumb. But it's the best we could come with. because we had to shoot it, edit it, and get it over back into the city in like 8 hours. So.
Do you have any plans for any other movies, including The Vicar, or like, do you have
now?
Any
well, there's
unfinished
the one that
ideas?
Yeager wants to shoot, Dog Boy.
Dog Boy.
Well, and he also wants to do a full-length delivery guy, which, you know, when we get old and retire, we can always do. You never know what's going to come up. You know, you guys are settled in, and once you have a family, you like put that to the wayside because it was my focus. But now that I have a son who is interested in it, and my daughter might be interested in it, and my friends are all in a place where we can just take weekends off and just shoot something. You never know. I'm still interested. I just haven't focused on it.
So, what did you do after college, or after you knew filmmaking wasn't really going to cut out? Like, would you?
Well, I still tried a little bit here. I moved here in '98, and I got a job on a film set in Cleveland on that terrible Rob Lowe movie, Proximity. I was just a PA.
Oh.
And I ran around for 16 hours a day for 30 days straight. It was great.
So
but then when I got back, I just got back into work at Virgin and just stayed there and got married and had kids. And
do you have any memories that really stand out from your time at Virgin, or was it all
well,
just...
when I became the DVD buyer there, I got to do a lot of the programs in the in-stores. So I had Uncle Lloyd Kaufman, not my real uncle, who runs Troma Studios, who did the Toxic Avenger and all these other terrible movies. He came in for a couple of promos one day, and it was great. He was just fun. He ran the audience. We had Bill Lustig, who directed a bunch of horror movies that you kids should be watching, and Joe Zito, who directed Final Chapter.
Oh,
because they started Blue Underground, the DVD label, and they came in. They did the launch of their first movie, The Prowler, to be released. 2 people showed up. So that was a failure. But I got to meet lots of people. I got to work with Criterion and Home Vision to do a bunch of in-stores all over the city, and I just got to watch movies, and that's really what I enjoyed doing at this point. But yeah, other than that, it was just still retail. But I did have things, and an entire house full of movies.
So I understand you started working at Apple after your time at Virgin.
Yes,
what was your first impression working there?
It was interesting because this was before anything happened. This is 2006, so it was before, a year and a half before the phone. We just switched over to from PowerPC to Intel chips, and it really wasn't that busy. It was nothing like it was. I think the stocks were like $30 a share at that point. Now they're like $230. It wasn't really busy. I'm the inventory operator, so I just take care of everything in the store. And back then it was different because I literally had to touch every single thing that came in the store. Now I have a team of people that do it. But it was insane, but they were very embracing. And the favorite thing your mom heard from me is I thought I was going to go work with a bunch of nerds and end up working with a bunch of dorks. Because it went from Virgin, where everybody was like, they were into film and they're into music, and over at Apple, they're not really they're into video games, and some people can read. But it was, it was sort of a culture shock, but at the same time, like, it's very open and you can discuss things with people, but not everybody has the same shared view as me. I'm also like their dad.
Yeah. Well, Joe, I gotta say thank you for coming on today.
Thanks for having me over. I really appreciate it.
It's been a great experience learning about your experience in. Oh no, it's fine. I'm Joe Franco. This was People in Perspective. Thank you for watching today's episode. See you next time.